Evan the counselor, and this is how to change any habit with science. Whether it be biting your nails or kicking heroin, this is the most effective way to change. The first thing to understand about changing any habit is that it's hard. I'm sorry, but there's just no getting around that, and this difficulty is what can be so discouraging about making changes in your life. The reason change is so hard is because altering a habit takes willpower, and this is the core of the problem. Science has shown us that our willpower is a muscle. We only have so much self-restraint, and when it's exhausted, our will weakens. This may not be hard for some of you, but imagine having to sit at work all day maintaining focus, then come home, take care of the kids, put dinner on the table, and then try to implement your workout program. When you exhaust your willpower, changing routine becomes almost impossible. Let's think about New Year's resolutions. How many people actually follow through and make those changes long-lasting? Almost none. I'm guilty as well. Whether it's relapse rates from drug and alcohol recovery or adherence to taking medication, more often than not, we fall short of our goals when we don't approach change in a scientifically effective way. Self-help gurus make a lot of money off books or programs trying to convince you that following their method will be a quick fix. I'm here to tell you it's probably bullshit. So I'm going to give you the most effective way that I know how to make a change for free, based on science and my experience in the change business. Look, change is never easy, but by using these tricks, it can give you just enough edge to form a new and lasting habit. First, let's talk about the science of what a habit is. Often I ask my clients a trick question, that is, what is the difference between a habit and an addiction? I get all sorts of answers, but what I tell them is that all addictions are habits, but not all habits are addictions. This is because habits form within our cortex, the largest and most developed parts of our brain. This part of the brain is most developed in mammals and has been key to our success as a species. So why is it that all habits and routines are so essential for survival? Well, think about it this way. Imagine the first time you had to drive to your new job. How much mental energy did it take trying to find the place? Maybe you're old school and printed it out on MapQuest and had to follow the directions, and it took most of your mental energy. However, once you drive to that location numerous times, eventually you don't have to think about it. You free your mind up to focus on other things that are potentially necessary for survival. So if the fixed nature of habits is the problem, well, then what is the solution? With my clients, I use a model based on the research around habit forming. I first read about this model from the book The Power of Habit from Charles Duhigg. In his book, he takes all the research he can find on the habit forming process in our brains, creating a habit loop. The first part of the habit loop is the cue. This is the prompt in our environments that make us either crave or initiate a behavior, whether it's seeing the exit sign on the highway or the clock hitting 5:30 and it's time for your whiskey and Coke. These cues can take many different forms. Then we have the routine, which is the behavior itself, turning the car or sipping the whiskey. The last stop on the habit loop is the reward, and in this case the reward would be going the right way to work or the warming sensation of the whiskey hitting your belly. And as I mentioned before, addictions are more powerful because they produce a cocktail of reinforcing reward chemicals. No pun intended. Given my experience in the habit-forming business with myself and my clients, I added a fourth dimension which I call preventative medicine. These are healthy things that people do preemptively to reduce cravings. For example, if you incorporate eating healthier and filling foods into your diet, you're less likely to have cravings for the less healthy stuff when the cues rear their ugly heads. In The Power of Habit, the takeaway is that the science indicates that in any habit loop, the cue will always be there, and if you're going to change the habit, you need to find a new routine that gives you the same reward. I smoked cigarettes daily for 5 years, and finally I was ready to stop. Being in recovery from substances, I had some experience quitting things and put together a plan. I thought about the times that would be the hardest to resist having a cigarette, and the number one for me was after a meal. So in that instance, the cue was a full stomach. The behavior was the cigarette, and the reward was settling my stomach and the nicotine buzz giving me a little bit of energy after inevitably stuffing my face. With a habit so ingrained, I was going to have some cravings, and if I didn't do something else to give me the reward, those cravings would continue. Then I would have to rely fully on my willpower to overcome those urges and not smoke. Finding a healthier routine is not quite as reinforcing or exciting as the sweet, sweet nicotine in my lungs, but if I find a new healthy habit and satisfying those cravings, the body can and will adjust to the lower levels of reinforcement. So what did I do? I had to think of something that when I had the cue of feeling full, it would settle my stomach and perhaps give me a little buzz to wake me up. I thought, I know, coffee. That would do the trick. And certainly it did, but the problem is I'm a little sensitive to caffeine, and unless it was after breakfast, I didn't want to be buzzed out of my mind the entire day. So I thought, well, how about tea? The problem was I kind of hated tea. I just thought it was weird flavored water. However, I found one tea that I kind of liked and would drink that after every meal. At first it was hard and I still had those cravings for cigarettes, but after a couple days of drinking tea, I found that I was no longer having the intense cigarette cravings. And then I started craving tea. After 11 years, I still drink tea after almost every meal, and I'm now a certified tea nerd. It's a habit that's ingrained into my brain like cigarettes, but it doesn't have those harmful consequences. For me, the preventative medicine was exercise. I'd neglected exercise for years, but when I started doing cardio and lifting weights, I noticed that for hours afterwards, I wouldn't crave cigarettes. I loved the feeling that I got after working out, and that became a new ingrained habit that I would never miss because I wanted that positive reward. And after 12 years, I'm still dependent on working out for my mental health. I'm Evan the Counselor, and that was how to change a habit with science. If you like that video, please hit like, subscribe, and follow me on my other socials for more content like that.